After Sutapa, we have Aruni Mataji joining us. Okay, that's very good. Okay. So, let's bring up our verse. And I think we'll get started with our prayers now. Om Jnanatimrandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Sadvaitam Sadvaitam Krishna Chaitanya Dev Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhoti Vishago Kanchana Gora Vrindavaneshwari Rishibhanu Sute Kripa Sindhu Patitana Vaishnavibhyo Premanande
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Sahal Gauri Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Okay, so let's get going. I have a hard stop today at 7 o'clock because, there is issue there at my work. I need to go there. Okay, so let's get going. And we said that we're going to do 7.29. So I have now brought up 7.29. I'm going to start hearing that screen here with me. 7.29. What do you say? So let's look at a few of the verses. Does anybody remember what is that verse? What number is that verse? Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jigyasvi artharthi.
16.
16, correct, for 500 points. Okay, 4 kinds. So he says, best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to worship me. And they are?
Distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Those are the 4, correct. Okay, so now, then among the 4 that he's saying, he's talking about, that's one who is in full knowledge and who's always engaged in devotional service is the best. So he's also talked about who is the best among all those 4. Right? And then he's not like putting down the others in a very forceful manner, right? But he's just saying that, all these devotees, the four varieties that are there, they're all magnanimous souls, right? They are magnanimous. But then among all those 4 magnanimous types, varieties, the one who's in knowledge about God, right? He says that I feel them to be just like my own self. And then for that person, he's saying that, since he will have the knowledge that will lead to his transcendental service of the Lord, then he's sure to attain me. So that's the guarantee Krishna is giving. And then attaining Krishna, he's also telling us, is the highest and the most perfect goal that we have. Right? And then he talked about this. He talked about the Gyanis who are going to achieve Krishna ultimately. But then he's also telling us that it doesn't happen like that. It's not an easy thing. He's saying after many, many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. What is this verse in Sanskrit? Knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that. Such a great soul is very rare. After many, many births. What is many? What is birth in Sanskrit?
Bahunam janmanate.
There you go. Bahunam janmanamante jnanvan
Padyate.
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Mahatma Sudurlabha.
So such a great soul is very rare, right? So you got that. So he's saying that it just doesn't happen like that, right? It's one would take many, many births. And then this many birth question was also raised by Arjuna in chapter number 6, right? Where he was asking that what happens to a person who's unsuccessful in transcendental endeavors, right? And Krishna then says, depending on the grade and the level, two things can happen to him, right? Whether he was super advanced, then that person will automatically pursue devotional service in his next life, independent, irrespective of where he is put. In what kind of a family, he can be born in a demon family, but he'll still pursue devotional service to the Lord, right? And then, however, for them, for most of them, he will put them in a family where devotional service is already being done. So the ambience is already set up for that person, right? For the highly advanced transcendentalists who failed in the sense that did not achieve Krishna. Not that they fell down, but they just didn't achieve their goals. So a very high level go there. And those are not paripakwa, not completely ripe in their devotional service, then they are born in very rich aristocratic families. And why are they born in rich aristocratic families? So that the daily drudgery of life gets reduced when you have money, right? So, and that frees up their time, and it frees up their time to do devotional service. Now, is it true that by putting people in an aristocratic family where they have lots of servants to do their work or gadgets to do their work or don't have to work, do they use their free time in devotional service to the Lord?
Very rarely. Very rarely.
There you
Very
go.
rarely.
Yeah, so that's a danger there.
They prefer kitty parties.
Yeah, there you go. Then, of course, then he's talking about, so he talked about 4 kinds of people who come there. Then there are also those who don't go to Krishna. And then he was describing those to us and says, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires, surrender unto demigods. And then they follow the particular rules and regulations for worship of that particular demigod according to their own nature. So if they are in mode of tamas, then they will go to some tamasic demigod, right? If they are mode of passion, they'll go to some passionate, right? Rajasic demigod like that. And there'll be rules and regulations for worshipping that particular one. And the interesting thing that Krishna is saying, that Krishna is not a jealous God. He's not jealous that somebody else is going to that the souls are going to a demigod. He's not jealous of the fact. In fact, what he says is that, as soon as somebody wants to worship a demigod, he says, I make his faith more stronger so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. And the idea here is that, okay, fine, he's going to a demigod. He's asking for something. He will get it. So his faith will be strengthened a little bit. And then after he gets it, um, maybe when he gets that thing will be so bad for him that he will realize and turn to Krishna, or even that thing could be very good and his desire will be satisfied, right? So these desires have to be, gotten out of the way, and it's not possible for everybody to kill the desire, right? Some have to satisfy them. And so for them, this is the route to do that, right? And also the interesting thing that he says is that when a person goes to a demigod and with some faith, Krishna not only strengthens that faith in him, in that demigod, for that particular devotee of the demigod, he strengthens that faith. And not only that, of course, with that faith, now this person is going to worship the demigod with even more rigor, right? But then when the demigod is going to give them whatever they were desiring, actually those benefits are also given by Krishna only. So ultimately, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna is the ultimate of everything, right? And then, of course, then he's doing he's also telling us the consequences of worshipping the demigod. So he's saying that, okay, if you're not very intelligent, right, then you'll go to worship the demigod because you're looking for quick, instant gratification of your desires. But then what's going to happen is that, think about death also, because after death, because you have been worshipping the demigod, you'll go to the planet of demigod, and there is no demigod who is not going to die. So when this earth is annihilated, you will also again go back into the Janam Mara, the cycle that is there already, right? But then he is also telling us that for those who are worshipping Krishna, right? Those who are worshipping Krishna, they will, after death, they will go to Krishna's planet, or ultimately they will reach Krishna's planet, depending on how pure a devotee of Krishna they were, like that. Right? Then he was also saying that he doesn't manifest himself to the foolish, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, right? That he covers them with his Maya potency, internal potency, so that they cannot see Krishna there at all. But then also he says that he's talking about his potencies, and he says he knows the past, present, and future, like that, right? And so then here, so remember in the beginning, he was talking about Chaturvida Bhajante Mam Jana Sakutira Arjuna. And then he also talked about the best, the one he likes the best, which is the with a person armed with knowledge who does the worship, who is his devotee of the Lord. Then he started talking about the unintelligent people who go to demigods, etc. Right? And then he says, I do not show myself to them. But then on the other hand, that those who are worshipping, right? Who are worshipping Krishna and they are going on the right path, then what's going to happen, right? So then he is saying for those kind of people, what happens with those kind of people is that they have acted piously. So this is the verse that we did last time, that they have acted piously in the previous life, and of course continue to do that in this life as well. And whose papam, all sinful actions are completely eradicated, they are completely gone. And they don't think about good and bad, hot and cold, envy, lust, and love and hate like that. Then they will be very strong in the determination of serving the Supreme Lord. Now he's continuing on with the same kind of people, right? That who are tending towards or trending towards Krishna, leaning towards Krishna. And so today's text now is text number 29, where Krishna is continuing on. So those real intelligence is to turn to Krishna. Okay? Now he's saying, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Yatantite Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Kritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Yatantite Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Kritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Yatantite Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Kritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. So let's look at the word by word. Jara, do you know what is Jara?
Old age. Old age.
Yes, Maran.
Death.
Mokshaya.
Old in
Liberty.
liberation.
Liberation. Okay. What is Ashitriya? Ashritya.
Shelter, taking
Take
shelter.
Shelter. Yatanti.
To try, to do, endeavor.
Yatanti, endeavor. Right? Yeah. Okay. So now let's go. Let's see. Yes. Jara, old age, Maran, death, Mokshaya, for the purpose of liberation, Mam, me, Ashritya, taking shelter of, Yatanti, endeavor. Ye, all those who, they, such persons, Brahma, Brahman, transcendental. Tat, actually that. Viduhu, they know. Kritsnam, everything. It's not Krishnam, it's Kritsnam. Right? Everything. Adhyatmam, transcendental. Karma, activities. Cha, also. Akhilam. Akhilam means entirely. Completely, entirely, covering everything. That is Chakhilam. The translation by Srila Prabhupada. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. So what are these intelligent people trying to do? They have figured it out that there is old age, birth, death, old age, disease, all those things are there, right? So when you're trying to get out of this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, then those kind of people will take refuge, take shelter of Krishna. And how do you take shelter of Krishna? By doing devotional service to Krishna, following the rules and regulations, and worshipping Krishna. Okay? So they are actually Brahman. Brahman basically means transcendental, because they entirely know everything about transcendental activity. What's a transcendental activity? Best transcendental activity is devotional service. Right? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Birth, death, old age, and diseases. Janam, Mrityu, Jara, and Vyadhi. Okay? Diseases affect this material body, but not the spiritual body, right? When was the last time your soul had a cold, right? Or like that, right? So all these are things that can only affect the material body, and they cannot affect the spiritual body or the soul. There is no birth, death, old age, and disease for the spiritual body. So one who attains a spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages in internal devotional service. That person is really liberated. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. it is said, spirit basically here, Brahman means transcendental. It is said that one should understand that he is Brahman, spirit soul. This Brahman conception of life is also in devotional service as described in this verse. The pure devotees are transcendentally situated on the Brahman platform and they know everything about transcendental activities. 4 kinds of impure devotees who engage themselves in the transcendental service of the Lord achieve their respective goals by the grace of Supreme Lord. When they are fully Krishna conscious, they actually enjoy spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. But those who are worshippers of demigod never reach the Supreme Lord in the Supreme Planet. Even the less intelligent Brahman realized persons, those who have realized the effulgence of the Lord, cannot reach the Supreme Planet of Krishna known as Golok Vrindavan. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness, Mam Ashritya, those who have taken shelter of Krishna, are actually entitled to be called Brahman because they are actually endeavoring to reach the Krishna planet. Such persons have no misgivings, that is, doubts about Krishna, and thus they are factually Brahman. Those who are engaged in worshipping the form or archa of the Lord, or who are engaged in meditation on the Lord simply for liberation from material bondage, also know by the grace of the Lord the purports of Brahman, Adhibhut, etc., as explained by the Lord in the next chapter. Thus ends the purports of Srila Prabhupada 2, verse 7.29 of Bhagavad-gita. So, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Yatantite Te Brahma Tad Vidu Kritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Cha Khilam. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now and let's take some reflections on what you have heard so far here. Any words, any ideas, any concepts?
Not worshipping demigods. And then when we do Krishna consciousness, then we'll go to Krishna's abode. We will go to him. And then what else? Mainly devotional service, and then when we reach old age and death and other things, they will come, but we have to chant, we have to do devotional service to Krishna, and then that will take us to the abode. And not if we pray demigods, then we'll go to demigods place, and then we'll be with them for a while, and then again when inheritance comes, we have to go back.
Okay.
That's what I thought, Mataji.
Nice recap. Anybody else? Nobody heard anything? Only Vindhyavati?
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I really like the point that Ham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. And you see, once we understand that I'm the spirit and I'm not the body, and in actuality, we feel that I'm not the body and I'm the soul. That is the time, you see, the real realization will come, and I will understand that this is the real devotional service, and I will be able to get to the Golok. Krishna will approve my entrance to the Golok if I surrender myself entirely unto him.
Right. Also, so what were so in today's verse, they are talking about some people who are trying to get something, right? Or reach some level. Tell us something more about what are those people aiming for?
Hare Krishna Mataji. In this verse, they are saying that intelligent persons who are engaged in devotional service, who have transcendental qualities, high qualities, they are trying to liberate from old age and disease. But this thing is not possible without devotional service. If we are trying to liberate from old age, from birth and death, this is not possible without taking refuge in Krishna, without devotional service, without transcendental qualities. So maybe they are stressing upon this thing that though we are trying to get liberated, but it's not possible without devotional service, without taking refuge in Krishna.
Yes, that is true. Without Krishna, you can't, or Krishna's blessings and mercy, you cannot do that. And we also saw that not only that even when we are hovering on the material plane, right? The earlier verses when they were talking about people who go to demigods and who want to worship the demigod to get some material gains, right? What does Krishna do in that case?
He will just
He facilitates
he facilitates the worship and
he gives the power, and but he's in the end he says that all the benefits you get from them, all the rewards, blessings, they also coming from me.
Also coming from Krishna, right? So Krishna is taking care, in either cases, Krishna is taking care of them, right? But in today's verse, so what are the people trying to do? Those people are trying to say that what is the problem here in this material world? The real problem is four, right?
Yeah.
So talk about problem. Problem can be of very different levels, and anything can become a problem from a different perspective, right? So and depending on where you are stationed, different people can have different problems. So anybody would like to share one problem they have in life? We are in Facebook.
We have all the problems only in the material world. Material
Okay,
world.
so give me an example of one material problem.
Mataji, when you said we are on Facebook, that kind of sealed it. I don't think we want to volunteer.
No, not getting due respect. Not getting due respect as I'm respecting others.
Okay, so then you expecting respect and not getting those respect, right?
Yeah.
So that is one problem that we have in life, right? A problem could be kids are not listening. A problem could be temperature is too high.
I want to have a peaceful death.
Problem is want to have a peaceful death. Not coming.
I don't know that will happen or not, but I pray every day.
Yeah. So let's take the example of, something is very hot. Somebody's feeling very hot. Like, I don't like the temperature of Delhi. It's very hot in June. Somebody else might say, oh, no, this is very nice. I like it actually because I'm coming from down south where it is even worse. So the given situation, a given problem is there. Then for some it is a problem, for some it is not a problem. Then for some for whom it is a problem, for example, the person is feeling very hot. What can you do?
Feeling very hot?
Yeah, if you feel very hot, what can you do to solve that problem?
We'll use air conditioner.
We'll use ACs and
right.
Cooling the temperature.
Fan, right? Take a shower, right? Wet your clothes, spray and on face. So there is a solution, right? The real problem is there are some certain points to be noted about a real problem. The real problem is, number one, it has no solution, material, in this world. Okay, it's real, that is a real problem. Number two, that problem will be applicable to everybody. It's not that, temperature of Delhi is okay for somebody and not okay for next.
See, that is what I was asking, peaceful death. That is not, I don't know whether that is possible or not, but it's too much to ask. Is that right, Mataji? It's too much to ask.
I have the faith that Krishna takes care of their devotee.
Yeah, I have to surrender. That's all, Sarvadharman Parityaja. So I have to say that, Krishna, just I am living body and I don't know what you're going to do with my body. That's it.
Krishna takes care, and Krishna doesn't care about your body and So should we not care about the body at the time of death? Because if we think
Yeah,
about the body,
that's
we will
what.
get another body, right?
Yeah.
Thinking about Krishna at the time of death, and it doesn't matter. So Krishna gives us that what we should be really asking is that give us the strength, whatever you have in mind, Krishna, for my death. Give me
Yeah.
the strength to bear it, and give me all that I should be thinking about is that even if it's
Yes.
pain, I should not forget Krishna.
That is another thing, is at the end of my life, I want to say his name. I should be able to say his name.
So
I
now
don't know.
you are counting desires. You are not counting problems. I'm asking for problems in life. Right?
Actually,
Problem. Right?
don't have
Somebody, neighbor's dog barks the whole night. I'm not able to sleep. That is my problem. Right? So the real problems of life will be something that is applicable to everybody all the time and has no cure. Now tell me, what are the real problems of
That
life?
is old age.
Okay.
That is, we cannot
Disease.
avoid that. We cannot
I
avoid
think,
that.
yeah, I think disease, because everyone is subject to some kind of disease or other,
That's it.
absolutely.
Right.
health-wise,
This is a problem. Old age is a problem. What else
Old
is a
age.
problem?
Money, too much actually.
There are four problems. Money cannot be a problem because money could be a problem for some and not be a problem for other, right? But a real problem applies to everybody all the time.
Well, the four they normally give are old age, birth, death, disease,
Disease, exactly.
which is what's
Right? Those are the four real problems, right? And so people have realized that these are the four problems that they have in life. And so who know that this is a real problem. And what they want is, okay, there's death. So nobody likes death. And so is there a solution for that? And then look at
No.
that. When you turn to devotional service, you get the real knowledge. And what is the real knowledge? That you are the soul.
So,
You are the concept of death doesn't even apply to you.
Yeah.
So we were unnecessarily worried all the time, right? So in Bhagavad-gita 2.16, it said, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubayor api dishtontas panayos tattvadarshibhi. So it says, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, that is the material body, there is no endurance. It will not stay forever. And the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Right? So once you turn to devotional service and then you do devotional service to Krishna, Desham Satata Yuktanam
Vajitam Preeti Guru.
Dadam is this.
Buddhi Yogam.
Yogamtam Nama Upiyantite, right?
Okay.
So Krishna will give you the intelligence, and with that intelligence also you will start getting the realization that I am a soul and I'm not the body. And that it is very difficult for us to practice, but we should constantly be endeavoring towards it, that, I am the soul, I'm not the body. And the easier way to handle that, I mean, sometimes it's not that when we are sick, we say, oh, like when it's easy, when we are sick, we cannot say that I'm I'm the soul, I'm not the body, and not do anything about it, right? So you have to do it. But then other times also, when you say I'm the soul, I'm not the body, like an excessive indulgence in sex gratification is something to be avoided, right? That is says yuktahara viharasya, right? You should be doing things in a moderate way for everything once we start doing that. Yeah. So now when we are, so today's verse is saying that there are people who want to have moksha, who want to get liberated. Okay. Now, is it an easy thing to do? Here Krishna is saying that, take to devotional service. Otherwise also he says, Sarva Dharman
Parityaja
Kam
Mam
shamam
ekam saranam braja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami
Mashita.
Masujaha, right? So what a big guarantee he's saying. That he's saying that you just surrender unto me. I will give you, right? Just surrender. And what does Krishna want in return from you? Chapter 9. What is he asking? That is similar to Sarvadharman. What is he asking you to give him?
926, Mataji.
What is 926?
Pushpavalam toyam yome bhaktya prachati.
right? Aham yo mein tad aham bhakti uparitam krishnami vyat atmanah, right? So he's saying that 4 things only he's asking, patram pushpam phalam tuyam. That's all that Krishna is asking. He's so magnanimous, right? In the devotional service. But when it comes to doing devotional service, right? We all are doing devotional service. So what are some of the activities that you do in devotional service?
Chanting the holy name of the Lord, reading
Chanting the holy names of the Lord. How many times you have to?
16.
108 times.
16 long
16
rounds.
rounds.
Right? And for 60 long rounds, we are saying that I think Kali Yuga, that's what we say. That Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to tell his disciples that they were supposed
64 rounds.
to
Yeah.
64
Prabhupada
rounds.
reduced it to 16. Right?
16.
50 years ago. So every 50 years ago, we should do some sort of a calibration check to make sure that with the advancement of Kali Yuga, are these numbers still very practical? So we always bring in practicality. And
Yeah.
practicality, and that's when we start saying that it is not a practical thing to do devotional service to the Lord. Right? Is it practical?
Yeah.
Family goes against, and you are telling me not to eat onion and garlic, and my children are shouting at me. This is right. Right. What do I do? I'm in the office. How do I chant my Gayatri in the middle of office? Right? Most of the times we are complaining. So what exactly is the meaning of practical? What is a practical thing? Let's see. When we say this is practical, what does it mean? Underlying thing. What is the underlying thing?
Whatever we do, we should think of. Whatever we do, we should think of Krishna.
No.
That
That is not the question. I'm just saying that in life we always say, right? Yeah, you're trying to do this and that. I don't think that's practical. Right? You're trying to do that and that. I don't think it's practical. Oh, you're trying to do this. That's not practical, right? We say that. So what do we mean when we say that this is not practical? How do you define whether something is practical or not? What is it that you're looking for that makes something not practical?
Mother, it
all
depends.
these material things, material world, whatever we are doing, these are not practical. Actually, we do it, but because we have to take care of the family or going, working, making money, all these things, just like that, we are doing it mechanically. But without that, we cannot live in this material world. So, in the middle of that, we have to take time to chant and then take time to think of Krishna and devotional service.
Yeah,
That's
but my
what I
question,
feel.
yeah, but my question was that when we say something is not practical,
I had to control my
what
mind.
makes us say that? That's the question. And Shruti Priya Mataji wants to say something. Let's allow her to say that.
That means something which is not conducive to us, or something which we do not like, or cannot move with easily, is something that is not practical.
Okay.
But whatever is not good for Krishna, whatever Krishna won't like, we should be doing that.
No, we are not talking about what we should be doing. So let us be clear on that. We are talking about that when we say something is practical or when we say something is not practical, on what basis do you do that, right?
We
And
have our
Priya
yes,
Mataji dropped. Yeah.
Something that we like is
we,
practical. We can adjust with is practical.
Something is beyond the body. It's
I
not.
think I
Yeah, I
think
heard.
this we have our own nature. So when we say it's not practical, it's not in our nature to do that specific work.
Okay, yeah.
I
So
think it means that it's beyond the body. I mean, it's beyond the limits of the body and circumstances, like the logistics of something.
Yeah.
and how do we know the limits of our body?
Well, whether you feel tired, whether you have enough
Do we really
time,
know the limits of our
Main
body?
thing is controlling the mind.
time and feeling the state of your body.
The state of the body, right? So we don't even know I remember I had the first time I kept what is that? Nirjala Ekadashi. right? So you only eat food the next day. I had never fasted in my life like that. The maximum you do is midnight, Krishna Janmashtami, right? Then you get food. But then sleeping on an empty stomach, going to sleep. The first time I put it, I remember I told my Guru Maharaj the next day, Guru Maharaj, I thought I was going to die. But I did not, because I was alive, right? So sometimes we think that this is the limit of our body, but it is not, right? And a few days ago, we were talking about certain things that looked very odd, and I gave some examples of how mothers demonstrated extraordinary strength when their children were in some sort of a danger, right? Like a mother lifted the whole automobile with her hand, old lady moved, so because her son was stuck underneath, it was a mechanic working on that, like that. So we don't know. So practical, and I think I heard one of you say that, is that practical is something that, it keeps us in a nice enjoying, let's do that. Like, oh, you're running a household and then you're also trying to study in the night. I don't think that's practical. Why is it not practical? Because you miss out on your TV time, you miss out on, so that's why sometimes we could just go and do that, right? So now our thing here is not to stay confined in the material world and define our limits of practicality to be there. What is the real practicality? The real practicality is, look here, buddy, you have got 4 enemies: birth, death, old age, and disease. You have no control out of it. The real practical thing to do is to get out of it. So although devotional service might appear to be a very difficult thing to do, getting up in the morning, taking a shower, or those 16 rounds that Guru Maharaj never says you reduce them, he's saying stick with 16, like that, right? But as soon as we bring in Krishna consciousness into it, right, then our outlook changes.
Yeah.
And because of that changed outlook, Vindhyavali constantly was saying throughout the class that, oh, we should be doing Krishna. Oh, we should be doing Krishna. Because that's a mindset that changes. But that's not necessarily where everybody's mindset will be, right? So the real solution to the real problem that they're saying is to go to Krishna. Now, there's a very nice verse from the 10th canto. It talks about taking shelter of Krishna. And it's one of my favorite verses. I'm just going to bring it here so that we can all also relish that verse. So let me see where that is. It is from
Mataji, while you're looking for that, can I just say, I did Nirjal fasting for 6 consecutive Ekadashis. And what I found was that, I was so much, I really wanted water, I wanted food, that even though I was chanting, and during these 6 Ekadashis, I did 64 rounds, I could not concentrate on the rounds at all. I mean, I was just doing it mechanically to get it out of the way because it was so painful physically. So I think that's when you have to say, okay, is it practical? Because are you achieving your goal, and my mind wasn't on the chanting at all.
Right. And then that practicality in devotional service also comes in gradual ways. Every human being can chant for 64 rounds on Ekadashi. We have that capability to do that. It's just that there are other things that are layers are on top of us that we need to remove. So gradually, that's why the other day, if you remember, Vaisheshika Prabhu was saying, focus on chanting 16 good rounds. Ekadashi, 16 better rounds, maybe from what you do every time, but stay at 16. 64 might not, like you said, right? My mind was not there.
Even, I mean, when fasting and no water and everything, I think I was lost after 4 rounds, So even if I had done 16, I don't know whether I would have been able to concentrate on 16.
There you go. Yeah. But you can do it. Those are the capabilities that we have. We will, and and what prevents us from doing that was in the previous verse. In 28, they said, because we have this desire, that desire. And one of the desires is to be on a full stomach. That's what makes Ekadashi very, very difficult for us. But what they're saying is, well, you take shelter because, for example, if you take, like, somebody has to go for certain tests, right, of the intestines and all that. So they ask you to fast. Actually, they will empty out your stomach. You can't even serve. So they will ask you to cleanse everything in your body, which means you're without food. After some time, you can't even take some water like that. So we are very, very miserable doing that, right? But
some days if suddenly it happens, Mataji, without food we can live. But if you say fasting, then the mind goes for that. So that is mind is monkey.
Mind is a monkey. It goes, and then also to keep in mind is that as the mind gets purified, right? The monkey mind is going here and there because of desire. As the mind continues to get, like I have seen people who get so excited, tomorrow is Ekadashi, and other people's heart will be sinking. Good, tomorrow is
Like me.
Ekadashi. Right? It depends on where you. It depends on where you are in the progress of your devotional service, right? Shruti Priya, did you raise your hand? You had a
Yes,
question.
Mataji. On the topic of Ekadashi, although I have done Nirjala Ekadashi a long time, last year, once a year, but I just wanted to share somebody who actually does Nirjala Ekadashi every Ekadashi. He had shared a technique that a day before you have to start preparing your body. So you eat non-grain the day before, start eating less. So you're preparing the body. The body is also knowing that it has to slow down, because suddenly you have a big dinner in the night and then the next day you stop. The body is still wanting to go with that same speed.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's good one.
Thank you. Yes. So that's advice Krishna is sending to us through Shrutriya. I think Shrutriya Mataji came to the call today just to tell us that. Remind us that the day before Ekadashi is not the day to start eating more in anticipation of the food you're not going to get the next day, but to prepare
Generally,
the body.
people say that I have fast tomorrow, might as well eat today.
Might
I
as well
know.
eat today.
Generally, we have that tendency.
Exactly. And the best thing about keeping Ekadashi Vrat for me was that when you get up the next day morning, your internal organs are so relaxed because they didn't have any work to do. So your body feels very good. And actually, I didn't even want to break the fast. It was like, it feels good. The body doesn't have to work like that. Yeah. So, and that'll come when we take shelter of Krishna, and it'll improve. All of you will definitely be able to do that, I'm sure, because you're on the right path. Samashitaye padapallavaplavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare bhavam budhir vatsa padam param padam padam yad vipadam natesham. So for those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in the calf's hoof print. The goal is Parampadam, which is Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, and their goal is not the place where there is danger at every step. And what is that place where there is danger at every step?
Vaikuntha?
Danger at every step.
Material world.
Oh, danger.
Material world, right? You see, so it's the material world, in this material world.
Yeah.
And then if you go and worship the demigods, what's going to happen? Are you going to get out of this material world?
No.
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 You'll
It's
go up.
only a temporary phase.
We will go to demigod's world.
Right. Shine Punya Martiloka Mission.
Then we will come back again.
Come back when your credits are expired. But devotional service, Nehabi Krama Nasosti, even if you do a little bit of devotional service, it never gets exhausted. It stays there. So which is a better investment to make for us. Like that. Yeah, right? So also wanted to point out something about today's verse, and that is Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Gitanti Te Brahma Tad Vidu Kritstam Adhyatmam Karma Chakhilam. Right? So I wanted to point out here, when a teacher is giving a class, the teacher wants what from the students?
Attention.
Attention, right? Do all students give attention?
No.
No. So teachers will have various techniques of grabbing the students' attention. For example, when you're sitting with your head down and talking quietly to your neighbor in the class, suddenly a chalk piece will come and hit you on the head. And then you know from where it was coming, right? And then similarly, they might be teaching something, they might be speaking. And for example, if I were reading this verse, which says they're actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about their transcendental activity. So this is a normal way in which a teacher is reading. But when the teacher sees that some students in the class are not being attentive, then what they will say that maybe they might say they're actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. So then it catches the attention of the student.
Yeah.
Did it catch your
Right.
attention?
Absolutely.
Right? So the teachers have got various, so Krishna has lot of teaching techniques that he utilizes while he's teaching Arjuna in Bhagavad-gita. Right? And I have given a lecture actually in ISV on teaching techniques in Bhagavad-gita by Krishna. So one of the teaching techniques he has employed in this particular verse, right? And what he has done in this particular verse is that, and this is a technique that teachers use all the time, Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Kritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakhinam. So he has introduced words like Brahma, Adhyatma, and Karma. He just said that, right? Without telling. And we had to rely on Srila Prabhupada's purports to understand, okay, what is karma, what is Brahma, Brahman, and then sometimes effulgence is Brahman, sometimes Krishna is Brahman, sometimes soul is Brahman, sometimes, like that. All that somebody had to explain to us. But there, Krishna is speaking very rapidly, 45 minutes, whole Bhagavad Gita is done. So he used that technique to introduce these words without explaining them. And he's checking Arjuna, whether Arjuna is listening attentively or not. And if a student is listening attentively, right, immediately what the student is going to do?
They'll ask questions.
The teacher will put a question.
Right. And if you look at chapter number 8 of Bhagavad Gita, now we are really at the end. There's one more verse in chapter 7. And immediately in chapter number 8, as soon as Arjuna is polite, he let the teacher speak, right? And then as soon as Krishna reaches a particular conclusive point, then Arjuna said, Kim tad brahm, kim adhyatmam, kim karma puruchottama. Clearly he's asking, right, these questions. Adhibhutam cha kim proktam, adhidaivam kim uchyate. Because adhibhutam, word he's going to bring, in the next verse, Krishna. So that is a teaching technique that Krishna is engaging to grab the attention that Krishna has got. Right? Now, here in the verse, a lot of time they were using the word, so you are Brahman, you are Brahman. I'm not Brahman. What you see here is not Brahman, right? So material. So what makes us go Brahman? Even this body becomes transcendental. What the body, right? That's why for the great saints, you don't burn their bodies, right? Just keep them like that in samadhi. So what makes it transcendental is when you bring it in touch with something that is also transcendental. So other than us, who is transcendental? You are transcendental. Is there somebody else who's also transcendental? No, yes, nobody else other than us?
Get in touch with Krishna.
Krishna is also, that should have been the right and the quickest answer. Yes, Krishna is transcendental. Right? So Krishna is transcendental. So when you are doing devotional service, right? When you are chanting the names of Krishna, the holy names, where is Krishna?
Madhuri, many a times, Madhuri, I have tried my level best while chanting the holy name. And I'm looking at the picture of the Lord and chanting. And you see, sometimes I close my eyes. That's my habit, you see. I close my eyes and start chanting. And Madhuri, immediately the mind goes somewhere else. But I'm chanting. So that is the problem. And I really feel so sorry that I have chanted also. And then I punish myself. You will have to do this round again. Because
our attention span is very short.
Very short.
Krishna is.
And then when you start doing the round again, then the mind is completely obedient and allows to do the full round.
Even then, it's so naughty. It goes.
Manchanchalam.
That's why I said mind is monkey.
My daughter
jumps here and there.
She's throwing a party tomorrow, and we had to cook, and some certain things were there. So she was telling me, Mama, this one. I said, okay. I was actually cooking vegetables while cooking, while chanting, means in the mind. I'm chanting early in the morning, but I'm thinking of women. And I told myself, "Tu sabzi bana rahi hai ki chant?" Keep
Yeah.
telling myself.
So this is all because of material desires that we have. Subtle,
Yeah.
maybe we might not
Yeah.
acknowledge, but they are still there, embedded in our psyche for millions of years.
But
And
one
the only way that you will transcendentalize yourself will be to, like the Prabhupada uses that famous example of iron rod. When you will get in touch with fire, it'll start to behave like fire.
And
So how will you get in touch with Krishna? Have that understanding that somebody said in Markat, right? The mind is a monkey. And so have that idea in your head that this is going to happen to me. I am right now in a body. I have my limits, right? Of my to the capabilities that I have. But I am a soul. I'm surrendered to Krishna. And Krishna will take care of that. I'm chanting the names of Krishna. Yes, I know that I have a problem with the attention, but the name of Krishna is so powerful that it is on the tip of my tongue. So I'm touching Krishna with my tongue when I am chanting the names of the Lord. So which is you're touching fire.
But
You are
one thing,
iron.
Mataji, Krishna
Fire.
is in our heart, and he is Paramatma, he is in our heart. And he is also naughty, he is playing. When our mind, it goes somewhere, why don't he tell us? He tells, but he is
He
in
won't.
us.
He
huh?
won't. He
Like
won't.
two birds on the tree,
he'll put
looking,
you on test.
watching only
Yeah, yeah.
what we are going
He
to do.
wants you to naturally turn towards him, right? Because we originally started with our face towards him, and now we have turned our face away from him. So he's waiting for us to turn our face back to him, right? And how you will turn your face back to him can be several reasons. Somebody can get so tired of material life. Somebody can get the mercy of a devotee and turn to Krishna. There's so many reasons why a person can turn to Krishna, but unless and until you don't turn to Krishna, there's no point, right?
That's true.
You won't listen to Krishna unless you are ready to listen to Krishna.
Like Mataji is, Vashan Mata is saying, I just look in the picture and then chant. I look into his lotus feet and then chant. But even then, that mind turns few seconds somewhere else. I just want to watch that picture and then do, because if I close my eyes, my mind can go somewhere else. That's why I don't want to. I want to see the picture and then do it.
Right.
But still it happens, Mataji.
Yes, and that is what the mind is, right? But then you also know that there are people in the world who concentrate, right? This means that the human body is capable of or the human but subtle and gross is capable of concentrating. It's that there are some factors that are preventing us from doing that.
Hare Krishna, Madhavi. Madhavi, when we sit in a group, even online, when Shri Guru Maharaj Ji has a japa session, and sometimes I have certain recordings, so I turn on the recording and do the japa. That time the concentration is better, Madhavi.
Pure devotee, yeah.
Yeah. That
Vibrations coming from the lotus mouth of a pure devotee have their own potency.
But also, Mataji, chanting with your eyes closed is very hard.
That's very hard.
Very hard.
That mind goes somewhere else.
Yeah, because when you have chanted, you're closing one of your senses. And so other sense will become active.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that people who are blind will have very sharp ears or very sharp nose or will have very strong taste bud will be very strong. So like that, if one sense goes, that's the teamwork, they fill up for each other. And so when you close your eyes,
that's why I just want to watch the picture and then do it. That's all chanting.
So the deity is there for the concept is just there for that purpose.
Picture or deity.
To allow your mind to allow you to focus your senses on that. So when you are engaging, because you have a deity, you will use your hands also on the deity, right? You use your legs for the deity to carry, bring to your wherever you're chanting, or you carry yourself to that place where the deity is. So you are engaging your senses. And once you engage your senses in the service of the Lord, the senses will become transcendentalized. That's why they call it the diya. So that is why when you are using the ghee lamp, to offer to Krishna, why do we consider that as sacred? What is so special about it, right? It's just brass or silver like that, right? Because it gets in touch with Krishna, so it becomes transcendental. And then Tadiya is not just instrument. Tadiya can also be people, like your spiritual master is a Tadiya. The other Vaishnavas are Tadiya. Tadiya is something that was used, engaged in the service of the Lord. So devotees are also Tadiya. Their bodies are also Tadiya because they are using their whole body in the service of Krishna. Like that, right? So we should aim for that. We all know it takes a very long time to achieve perfection, but people have done it. So we can take inspiration from them, right? And take inspiration from devotee, association of the devotee, because nothing like association of devotee, right? Because if you are facing some problem, then you talk it out, right? You look at other devotees, you take inspiration. Right? For example, you said, when I listen to my Guru Maharaj's recording, I feel very good there. So you will do that. And you will do
Very
that.
important to have the association, Mother.
But also remember that he says the bhakta is the highest. And we have to also remember that he says, karmarnevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma te karma sangosvi na te sangosva akarmani. Right? So he says that do not get attached to not doing your duty. So a devotee will do his work. The devotee does not cease his activities. I have become a devotee, so no cooking. No. But the activities get dedicated to Krishna. You now cook for Krishna. And you get prasad and you eat that. Like that. Right? So you will still engage. You will still do the work that you were doing. You were chopping, you have to cook vegetables, you will cook, but in the mind, it is like, I'm going to offer them to Krishna. Rest of the family might be thinking, mom is cooking for me, my favorite dish. But inside the head, mom is offering it to Krishna. Like that, right? So you can do things for Krishna in whatever situation that you had. And you can always give your mind to Krishna. Because this is the wonderful thing, right? The subtle body is a wonderful thing. Nobody else can see what's going on. So instead of feeling bad about the mind, remember, it's your best of friend also. You have to make it the best of friends, right? Sometimes best of enemies become best of friends, right?
Yes.
Bollywood movies are full of that, right? Because the hero and the heroine, they fight each other. And then they are dying to get married, right? And then, of course, after they get married, nobody knows because the movie ends like that. Okay? So, nice participation. Thank you so much. We were devoted to coming to the class, and we will continue. Krishna willing, we'll continue our conversation.
Kripa sindhu patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Gopramanande. Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you, dear
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Today it is a
Mataji.
nice discussion today.
Sunday I may not be able to join Mataji, but
Wow, we are going to miss you.
but I'll try my level best.
All right.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.